Okay, boys, crazy game. I mean, I can't believe we actually went out there and won. If it's your first time watching, I am at my girlfriend, so it's not the usual background that we normally have. But the game was so crazy, I had to upload a reaction just straight away. Going into it, I was sort of in my prediction video or my preview yesterday. I did put on there, this has sort of a 1-1 draw written all over it. And it was a 1-1 draw heading in right until the very end of the game, right? We only won it at the last sort of minute or two of the game, right, with Estevao. So it was sort of, the game went how I thought it was going to go. Although, to be honest, we were the much better team. Now, going into this, I thought Liverpool probably will look the better team. They'll be, more comfortable on the ball, a bit more tidy in possession, more look to either hit them on the counter, because obviously we've got, quite a few injuries at the back, and we've got 2 more now as well. We've got absolutely no centre-backs left at the club now. So, I mean, I want to give a massive shout out to Reece James as well, because this guy played in 3 different positions just in this one game. He was playing defensive midfielder, then he covered at right back, and then he was finishing the game at centre back. And to play against a team that has Isaac, Ekitike, Szoboszlai, Gakpo, Salah, Wirtz, huge attacking talent. They've spent how much money this summer just on attackers, right? And Reece James just had to shuffle around and he got the job done. So huge performance from him. To be honest, I want to give a massive shout out to everyone at Chelsea for this game. That, we really, the atmosphere was great as well, especially at the end. Everyone was bouncing. Maresca got sent off, so that's another win for us, right? We've got, what is it now, 3-4 red cards in a row. We're coming for that record, okay? We're coming for that record. I don't care if they say it doesn't count. Maresca getting sent off definitely does count, right? So, like I say, in the first half, right, we were a better team. We went into it 1-0. And we were looking good. We're getting in behind. Liverpool, for me, the big sort of striking difference was the full-back areas. I think, Bradley, Garnacho had a really good performance against him. He was tormenting Bradley the whole game. He cannot lace Trent's shoes. It's the truth. And Frimpong can't play there either. They had to pitch Szoboszlai at right back. So Liverpool really don't have any right back. And I thought, Garnacho completely tormented them, which was, fair play, big testament, because, coming in, I was a bit critical of the signing. And, he was poor at United, bad sort of personality as well, but you know what, his performance today was really good. Nothing outstanding, nothing crazy. You could still see he's a little raw in some areas. I think, there was sometimes we could have taken an extra touch, get a shot off, pass instead of, sometimes we were trying to keep his possession a bit too much, just recycling possession, let's pass back. When, top teams can really go out there and we could have hurt them. In that first half, we could have gone in 2-0, and then in the second half, potentially add another one or just cruise at 2-0. But because we were, the nature of the game, it was still 1-0. We just allowed them to invite pressure, and that's what happened. They got a goal out of nothing, to be honest. They really weren't doing anything to us, and they get that goal, and you're like, oh, here we go, same old Chelsea. We're going to go away now and either lose the game or we're going to drop 2 points from a game we were playing really well in. Like, credit to the boys, credit to Maresca. Everyone pulled their socks up. Everyone put a shift in. But it looks like, we just switch off these top teams, they get a chance and they score, right? And that's how it was looking. But to be fair, we kept going for it. I really liked Maresca's subs. The last couple of games, his subs have been a bit questionable, right? Taking all our attackers off or being too slow, being too, reactionary. But I think he was super proactive. We actually saw Mark Gay as well. Like, what? I thought this guy was going to be out on the bench and not play a single minute for us, right? All the way until, January, until maybe Omega comes and they swap that way. But look, he came on and we needed a bit of a striker presence. Not to say he was anything special, but you can see in these games, just having a body there, it helps. Instead of like a Tyreek George or someone playing false 9, we need a striker. And, Isaac comes off 70 minutes in, they bring on Ekitike. So, look, teams need 2 strikers. We got to lap out injured. We need a backup striker. We can't just sub on a winger and pit them up striker. It doesn't work. That's why you've seen in these games, we can't go out and kill teams, but, I'm happy we actually brought on the people who came on. So let's go through the team. Who was the standouts? Who played really well? By the way, Caicedo's my man of the match. I don't know about you guys, but drop a like and comment if Caicedo was your man of the match. He absolutely bossed that game. Sanchez, I thought, had a pretty decent game. Look, he didn't make wonderful saves or anything like that. He did kick it to the opposition a few times without pressure. He would pass it straight to them. But I think overall, if you take a step back and look at the whole game, I thought he had a decent game, nothing special, not one of his best. Look, he did give away possession a bit, but again, we saw those long balls over the top for Garnacho and Neto to run onto, and it definitely worked. It hurt them. And I think if we can just keep doing that, we're going to hurt teams, especially if they're going to have a high line like Liverpool were trying to do. So I thought it was sort of like a 6 out of 10 Sanchez, nothing special. For me, him and Gusto were probably the worst on the team, but not to say anyone really had a bad game, to be honest. And then Reece James has to be like an 8 out of 10, to be fair, doesn't it? I mean, look, he played midfield, played right back, played centre back, stepped in. I thought it really showed his leadership characteristics as well. Like, he stepped up, he put the team on his back, and he sort of commanded that. It's not easy, for Badiashile to go off injured and a Champyong to go off injured, and he stays there. He's that central figure at the back, and we don't get a clean sheet. But I don't think we, to be fair, gave Liverpool much. They didn't create a load of chances. They got the one goal from a nice first touch from Isaac, brings it down and scores from that, right? So we weren't giving them loads of chances. They got the one goal, yes, but you have to say Reece James really put a shift in. So great performance by him. I thought Champyong had a great game as well. If he stayed on for the whole game, he could have easily been one of those sort of man of the match contenders. I love the way he'll get an interception. Like, he's the aggressive centre back, right? So he'll get an interception, he'll step out from defence, carry the ball and actually drive forward. And his dribbling, how composed he is on the ball as well. He's just a modern defender, right? Like, he can play that inverted right back role, he can play centre back, the central centre back role, and I think we'll see what his injury's like now. It might have been precautionary, you never know, and obviously don't take that chance against Liverpool because they will hurt us, right? So hopefully it wasn't nothing serious. We don't really have many centre backs left as well, so we need him to stay fit. But I'm just glad, in the preview I said as well, I wanted him to start, and we don't really have anyone else either, right? I wanted him to start, but if he has a good performance against Liverpool, this is him introducing himself to the team and saying to Maresca, I'm undroppable, you can't drop me, look at what I'm doing. And I think he definitely showed that. I think anyone who watched that game, and Champyong was really good. Same for Badiashile as well. Again, another injury for the centre-back position. It's looking really dire at the back now, isn't it? And again, I really like Badiashile. I think when he's in form, he's a top centre-back, really good on the ball, good in the air as well, but he is injury prone. He picks up these little niggly injuries and it keeps him out, and we need, the best availability is availability, and it keeps him out. So I hope it's nothing serious, him and a Champyong. We'll see what it's like, right? I'm hoping it was just precautionary, and maybe they're out from the international break onwards, but we do have a bit of an injury crisis at the moment. But again, I think him and a Champyong, great partnership. I like how that works as well. I think if we use that against other teams, it will definitely work. Cucurella, another top performance by him. Completely shut out Salah. Salah did absolutely nothing in that game. He didn't get a sniff either, and he was contributing forward. He got the assist as well, and look, he was just bombing up and down. We need him in the team. If he's playing good in the team, Chelsea are going to play good. That's the sort of story of our season. If Cucurella has a good game, in general, Chelsea tend to have a good game, and he's Mr. Consistent anyway. I'm very rarely saying Cucurella gets below like a 7 out of 10 performance. So for me, standout performance as well. Gusto, he did get the assist, but I think his overall play, he was playing in midfield and sometimes even as like an advanced 10 position, right? So he was a bit out of position, but I don't know if I really liked the overall performance. Again, he is a right back or a wing back. He wants to be marauding down the right hand side. I think when he's in midfield, he doesn't quite have the attributes to play there and be composed enough on the ball either. So it was like a 7 out of 10. I wouldn't say it was bad. To be honest, everyone in Chelsea put in a shift this game, so I don't want to say anyone had a bad game, because to beat Liverpool, especially with the current situation going around the club as well. Look, no one's calling for Maresca's heads now, are they? You know, it's just a fact. No one's saying Maresca out. We completely dominated Liverpool, you have to say. Caicedo, like a 9 out of 10 performance, completely bossed the midfield. You know, outstanding goal. Was just everywhere, intercepting, dictating play. He took another couple shots from outside the box as well. I think it's just his overall play. It's him and Pedri, and they're there. And all the other midfielders, they're here, right? But if you're talking pure DM, there's no one sniffing or touching Caicedo at the moment. I'd categorise Pedri more as, you know, a central midfielder. And fair play, Pedri's the best in the world, but it's Pedri and Caicedo, and, you know, maybe Coutinho as well. But, you know, this is the Mount Rushmore of midfielders, right? They just absolutely bossed it. Gravenberch, for everyone, you know, giving his plaudits, and fairly so. Caicedo, you know, big brothered him, to be fair. Neto, and I'll sort of sum up the wingers together, right? So Neto and Garnacho, just constant menace on the wings. You know, the pace is really useful. And I thought when Gittins came off the bench as well, you know, positive performance. He hasn't been great since coming to Chelsea, but, you know, certainly if he's going to be playing like that and performing like that, we're going to get goals and assists from him. But Garnacho, I wasn't as big a supporter coming into Chelsea, but I thought, you know what, that was a great performance. You know, bullied Bradley, and, you know, Bradley maybe a season or so ago looked like a top talent, but I don't know what it is this season. He just doesn't look ready. Maybe the Trent leaving, maybe it's a bit too much pressure for him. But Garnacho had him, you know, he had his way. Whatever Garnacho wanted to do, Bradley was second best. So really good performance. I'd like to see him sort of start at left wing now. Let's give him that left wing position. Let's see what he can do, right? I think he is a bit of a confidence player. All it's going to take is him to get a goal, and his ego is going to go back up. So it was a top performance. Same for Neto as well. Ran his socks off. You know, maybe could have been a bit more involved in the final third, but I thought, you know, his crossing was certainly dangerous. But I think Estevao has to start. You know, we'll get into that later, but I think as good as Neto is, Estevao is just calling for that position, right? Fernandes, I thought, pretty good performance. Wasn't top tier. It was definitely sometimes he gave the ball away and we had a counter-attack, and he stopped the counter-attack, but, you know, did not stop running. I don't know what his distance covered was, but, you know, right until the 90th minute, look at him. He's involved in the goal, right? Just so, you know, worked his socks off. Didn't quite play that sort of deep line playmaker role. Again, a bit more of a box crasher. But I thought, especially when Lavia came on, our midfield's our best attribute. You know, at Chelsea, our midfield is one of the best in Europe. And obviously, at the centre-back positions now, we don't have much there. But let's just try and add to that, right? And João Pedro, I thought, had an okay performance, nothing special. He's up against Van Dijk and Konate. It's going to be difficult, right? But we were more targeting the fullbacks and going out wide, so he wasn't involved much in the play. So again, you sort of give him like a 6, 7 out of 10. Nothing special, but you can see, you know, the game plan wasn't to utilise him. We were targeting Bradley and Kirkies because these are the players that are out of form and performing quite bad for Liverpool as well. And obviously, the players came on. I thought Lavia, when he came on, really good performance. Just, you know, just so strong in midfield. He'll just, you know, win the ball on the half turn. They try and tackle him or foul him, and he's just composed, breaks the press, and then can play outwards. So going forward, you know, he probably wasn't fully fit to start, but, you know, if Lavia was playing that Gusto role, we probably win this game comfortably, like a 2-0, or we shut it out and we don't let them score, right? So I'd like Lavia in that position. We can keep Enzo as a box crasher for now because we don't have anyone else to play there, especially when Palmer's injured. And let's go Caicedo, Lavia, pivot, because I think that's gonna work, right? Joel Hatto was sort of thrown into it as well, right? We got some injuries. Liverpool at that moment in time when he was coming onto the pitch were looking the more aggressive, more, you know, if anyone was going to score, it was Liverpool, right? And I thought he came on, and it was just a really assured performance. Didn't put a foot wrong, really comfortable in possession, and just a good performance, right? So let's see how he gets on. He'll probably play at left centre-back now with the injuries. Estevao obviously got the winning goal, you know, super happy for him. Just when he came on as well, there was a few times maybe he gave the ball away, but the work rate, he was getting back, he was tackling, you know, he was working for the team. He's not just being a selfish winger, staying forward. And again, you know, I thought it was some nice, smart set piece set piece plays, right, as well, where we were going short and doing like triangles, and Estevao more often than not was the one on the ball moving forward from that, right? So I think we need Estevao to start at right wing. He's that good, right? So I'm just super happy he got his first goal, and it was, a goal that decided us beating Liverpool and getting a huge 3 points. And our fixtures moving forward now are pretty easy fixtures, you'd have to say, right? We're going away to Angers Forest. I mean, he looks like he's going to be sacked, right? So we can put the pressure on there. I think this is going to do so much for his confidence. I'm just super happy for Estevao. This is our boy. All those days where we were watching Palmeiras late at night, this is why, right? Estevao is him. And again, Gittins and Gay, they came on, they were quite positive. So I think, look, huge results. So happy we got the 3 points. I'll do a video tomorrow breaking it down a bit more, because obviously I just had to record on my phone because I'm not on my setup, right? But yeah, 1-1 going into this game I was happy with, but we got the win. And it's not just the win as well, it's the performance. We did dominate Liverpool, we bullied them, and I think they didn't deserve to get anything from the game. And we have to say we got lucky in that respect, because more often than not we can play good and we don't get anything to show for it. So Maresca got sent off, loads of drama, everyone's happy in the fan base, and so am I. So Caicedo, man of the match for me. Reece James is definitely there, and of course Estevao's the boy. So I'll see you boys tomorrow up the Chelsea, 3 points and a top performance. So I'll see you then. Peace.